Today I'm going to change the fuel filter for a diesel GL350 Mercedes-Benz. It's a 2014. I believe the ML, not sure if the 350s might be similar. It was a V6 turbo diesel. And first thing you're going to do is undo these clips here, get that off, lift your cover up. You got 4 pins to press on. One hand, that's the easiest. Get that off. And there you go. This is where the fun begins. So, this here is your turbo. These are your air intakes. To the right, you have an air filter. To the left, you have an air filter. You have clips here and here. Sensors. Undo those by taking a screwdriver, popping those back. Maybe I'll do that now. So just stick a little screwdriver in there and get it clicked out. And then there you go. That's one. This one's a little more difficult. It's underneath. Not the easiest to do with the camera. There, went. And then pull it out. Next, you'll want to unbuckle the air filters. There's one. There's the other. Back there's another. So those are disconnected. And by the way, this is the fuel filter down here. You have this in your way. So before we get to that, you got one more thing to disconnect. There is a bolt down there with a metal band connecting this to the turbo air intake. So once you undo that, pull these inwards and lift up and out. So you grab it up and out. Be very gentle before you pull it all the way. There's another sensor here you'll need to undo, and then there's a hose here connected to this that you'll just need to wiggle out. So don't just jerk this right out. You'll still have to slide this off before you get it out. Then once you have all that out, you'll be coming back, undoing this Torx bit here and a star socket here. And hopefully the plan is to slide this forward without breaking a seal back in there. But we'll get to that later. Once we get that all out, there's 2 buckles on the diesel fuel lines, another sensor to pull out, and hopefully there's just a bolt on the back side of this fuel filter and lift it out and then reverse engineer it all. So if you are doing an air filter change, I got these air filters for $30 some off eBay. They came from China. You'll need to do a Torx here and a Torx back here. Go over and under. It's on top. And there's another sensor you gotta take off, and 2 more smaller Torx, and that'll come off. This alternate side, you have a bigger Torx here and a bigger one in the back. There is no sensor to undo, but the one in the back is difficult to get at. Maybe get an angled socket or a shorter extension. Use a regular short extension that's just a hair too long. Then just wiggle this one forward, and you have to bend the foam or the filter just a little bit to get it out. But those are brand new and those are installed. This Torx here, I believe, was a T30, which it is. You can see it's barely enough room. And then also this star bit on here is an E10. If you've never worked with those before, E10. You can get a little kit. I just got this at Menards. That was 17 bucks. 19 something with the 11% rebate, and this band right here, and that hex screw. Sorry, use 9/32 to get that off, or a regular screwdriver. We'll do that next. Torques out in that star bit socket, and then down in here there's a screw of the star bit socket, and down, if I can see it, and there's another star bit socket. There it is. I can't see it, but my finger is right there. To get this guy loose, see, it's connected to a big hose. Got a big hose, but I loosen this guy up so that I can gain access to getting this free, to get that free. So there's actually 2 more star bits, and hopefully that'll be it. And I'll have access to the fuel pump, fuel filter. Okay, now that I got that second screw out, this did fall away as I anticipated. I have access to this guy. Try to get that off. Let's see what it looks like. It's hot, so I'm gonna do it in a second. Here's a better look at that. Not quite sure what it is, but you know, it's probably coming off the radiator, cooling the air. Something. Anyways, let's get that little rubber gasket, what do you call it, O-ring. That's gonna line up with this guy. Find it, this guy here. So I'm gonna clean some of that oil out of there. And then I started putting this back together. I put that Torx on there, clean some oil out of that, put that green O-ring up there without breaking it. So it's loosely fitted. This one has 2 star hex nuts, screws, whatever you call them, to put back on. And guess what? It's reassemble time. Okay, and now with that removed, I guess you didn't have to take this off first, but just slide this out of your air intake here. Wipe this out. Should be oil in there, so it sits in there like that. When you start lifting it out, wiggle that back so you can get that out. This is why I'm doing it myself, because my mechanic ripped this in half, so I'm probably going to have to buy this piece here new. But for now, I stuffed it inside of itself and put electrical tape around it. I've been driving it today. It's pretty hot. Everything's hot. But just to let you know, here's the fuel filter, and that screw right there. So that'll be working on next. Not quite sure what that is. Can't see it yet, but I'll take a picture of it maybe. I'll come back and do this Torx in the star socket and see what becomes of getting that out of the way, because as you can see, this hangs over that by about 1 inch or 2, so you can't get it out. Once you get this out of the way, you can get that screw, unfasten the sensor and these 2 buckles or hose clamps off. I don't know if they're reusable, so I bought some crap ones from Advanced Auto Parts just in case I can't reuse them, so I'm not stranded. And I also bought a MAN fuel filter. I'll read it to you in case you can't see it. WK820/14. WK820/14. I think I bought this for 50 bucks. Maybe it was 60, maybe a little bit more. But that's all you're looking for. There's 3 different types of fuel filters, so be careful. This plastic thing's coming off, obviously. And also, once you get this off, you're gonna want to put something over that so stuff doesn't go in there, as well as that one down there, so nothing gets in there. Probably should be covering that. Hopefully I'm done here in just a few seconds. And these air filters, I put on yesterday, and today I've got some fine debris. I don't even know what that is. Oh, we'll see. Don't think it's an issue. That did work. I just did unbuckle one little hose clamp. Move that. I'm gonna clean some of that up and plug that hole. Now I'm ready to go work on my fuel filter. Ta-da! I think that fuel filter takes a number 5 hex bit. It seems like it's pretty snug in there. So that's how you get the fuel filter out. Need to get in there. Loosen that sucker up. They're free now, but what I had to do, you can see they're free. So this squeezes together and leaps over and clinches on that side. Same with this one. So I took a channel locks. I've never worked with these before. And I'll try to do it. I bit onto them and then wiggle a little bit till it bounced over. And that's how I got those free. So to get the hoses off, I just wiggled them back first. I left this down in the hole. And once they were off, there's this little button. Push down on that, raise it up first, then push down on that, and they'll slide right off. And then you should be able to get that fuel filter right out of there. And like I said, I already just gotta wiggle it. There you go. Get that. Well, I like to say a couple swear words, but it's out. Imagine, I'm pretty happy. So those clips were reusable. I thought they were disposable. So just be gentle with them. Yeah, channel locks seem to work fine. You just gotta take some time and not smush them and get them out. And then this just clipped right back in, no problem. So I put the hoses on and the wiring on before I push it back down in the hole. Seemed like I did the hoses first. It was a little easier to do that while it was raised up so you didn't have to bend the hoses so hard. And they just barely had to touch on there and they slid right on. Push the clips forward and grab your channel locks and close them up again, right place. Worked out fine. Went back and tightened up that screw, no biggie. Now back to this thing. So once I get that on and get that black thing back up, I'll be putting it back together and the air tubes and all that, and I should be, number one thing before you try to start your car, turn it to the first key ignition spot without turning it on, and it will pump fuel into the fuel pump and get it ready for your first use, because you don't want to just fire it up. So it'll do all that for you. That's what that sensor is probably for. But I believe the fuel filter has a heater in it, and also it dissipates water. So heats your diesel, gets the water out of it, makes everything fine and dandy. Alright, just a word of the wise. I'm gonna get rid of this thing while you're working on it. Take a screwdriver and push that down, wiggle it forward, push that down, wiggle it forward. There's just one in the bottom center. Pop this thing off, get that out of your way. There's only 2 screws on that. Well, you had to get this one off to get the silver pipe off. But there's one down there. Right there. So that one goes in really nice and tight. I'm gonna put this one back in over here. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's right there. That one doesn't go on so tight. I found this extension with that E10, I believe, worked best to get at those two. And then I of course used the E10 with the short extension on that one. And then the Torx 30. Yep. T30 on this guy. And now put that all back on. And then we'll fire it up. There you have it. Another little hint for you. Don't put this on all the way yet. In my instance, I had a little issue getting this side clipped in the back. When you do your air filter, just kind of get this up on here, clip this one, then clip this one, and then wiggle this guy on. Make sure you get your other hose on here. before you do it. And then this side was a breeze, and I came back and tightened this screw up at the end. And I am done. And this clipped on easy, of course. I just put the cover back on, and project is done. 2 air filters and a fuel filter. Good luck with your project. Please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get 1,000, 2,000 people to subscribe so I can start making money. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna do one more last step here. We're gonna pressurize the fuel pump. Take this cover off. Now, there's probably another way to do this, but take that off. Stick your key in there. Turn it 1 click. Not sure if you have to do 2, but I'll give it a couple seconds. Trying to pressurize the fuel pump or the fuel filter. Turn another one. That's probably what I'm supposed to do. You hear stuff pumping away out there. Some humming. Still hear stuff clicking away. I'll just shut off. So now I'm going to turn it off. Do it one more time because I'm a little bit paranoid. Never done one before. Here we go again. 2 clicks. Here's stuff buzzing. Still going. All right, I'm gonna start her up. So far, so good. I need to go take a little test drive. And that should complete my project. I am actually going to get I forget who makes it, but module to plug in your car to figure out what error codes or things you have. I'll make a video about that next once I get it. Stay tuned.